Hello everyone, welcome to Digital Beer Stream. Gabriele here. How are you? Happy Thursday, 11th June, 10th week of Digital Beer Stream. Really happy to be here with everyone. I hope I gave you the chance to, discover a bit more about beer in a global way, in a very, large way. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are, entertain yourself with the best way you can. If it's for the lockdown, is it for the bad weather, is it for any other reason that you have? And, Digital Beer Stream was born as a way to fight the boredom of the lockdown and try to keep the beer community connected as much as I could. And, every single day I'm having this Digital Beer Stream. It's a different topic with a different format. And today is the industry stream, like a 30-40 minutes live two-way conversation with our beer industry hero. And this week is Euro beers, so we're gonna try to understand as much as we can about a specific, beer culture and part of the world, or specific style, could be everything. Today, I'm gonna speak about Norwegian beer, so everything about Norway with a very good guest, which is Marie Selnes, and Marie is also a Beer Sommelier, but she's coming from a traditional Norwegian brewing family, which made her, an interesting voice to try to discover what is the mainstream culture in Norway for beer, what is the craft beer culture in Norway, and what is the traditional beer culture. Sometimes you can't find countries where there are all of these three different elements together in one single place. Well, with Norway you really can. So all of us probably, have an idea about the contemporary craft beer places, like breweries and beers like Tuo, like Amundsen. There is so much going on, and today I'm gonna try a beer actually not from the Scandinavia region, but I'm gonna drink altogether IPA, West Coast IPA from Peninsula, Madrid-based brewery. So they won lots of awards recently. They're coming from Venezuela apparently, and they moved to Madrid to try and get into the European Spanish beer culture. So I'm pretty honest. I know that this beer is really well acclaimed within the community of craft beer. So I'm really happy to see how it's going to taste like. As a West Coast IPA, I'm expecting lots of, bitterness, despite the, kind of, beer and everything. So let me put it this way. I think I made a mistake, as I said, and Tuo is Danish. So sorry, Tuo is actually Swedish. Good point. Apologize. This is my problem. And I will try to see if Marie can actually jump straight into the conversation. If she can, just send me an invite, because I can't actually find you on the, on the list. But in the meantime, I would love to hear how you're doing. I would love to hear how are your days, what kind of, beers are you drinking in these days, and what kind of places are you looking for? If you are part of the beer community, how's the beer community reacting to what's happening in your country, in your place, in your city? London apparently have pubs. They just started to reopen in a way, like they serving takeaway pints, and they're doing interesting different things to try to keep alive. But I know there are lots of places with problems. There is a very special pub called The Gun in Wells Street. I don't know if you are familiar with that place. You should really check it out, because they're really looking for, help. So if you know The Gun in Wells Street, and if you like the pub, if you've been in that place, if you did anything with that, just please, guys, just try to do as much as you can to help them. And let me just plug my phone for a second. I hope the audio is good. I hope everything is good. So I will try to see if I can manage to have Marie over, so I can call her to the live. Just give me 1 second. And apparently the Canton as well. Yeah, you're right, Autumn Valley. Canton is another place which probably would need some help. But many other pubs around, around London and around areas where we live really need some, even the smallest of the help you can. That will be very, very, very useful because this is the thing, So, okay, just give me 1 second. Right, can't wait. I can wait to give a little sip to this one. It smells fantastic. Compared to the other one yesterday that I had, this is much more strong in aroma as well. I can see a bit darker color as well, which looks very promising. Pure West Coast. You got a bit of piney as well. This is nice. I like to think about when I'm trying similar style of beer in different representation around the Europe. All of these breweries like trying to put out the best of what is their way to come to understand that specific style. So yesterday, that Polish beer was really, really interesting, was really balanced, was really soft. When this in actually is a bit different, is much more like American style, is very American-like influence type of beer. So I'm actually Marie over, so I'm gonna try to start to speak with her right now. Yeah, let's see. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. It's my first time being on a Instagram live stream, so I had to figure some stuff out.
I'm telling you, Instagram is a very interesting platform because you think you have the power with Instagram. Instagram owns you. That's the problem. It's not
Yeah.
easy at all. And very happy to have you here. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. This lockdown has been long, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
We are getting there. You're really right. I don't know in your area if people are, starting to go out already and doing things. Here, you almost feel like it's normal. London, it's pretty safe.
Yeah, no, here it's mostly teenagers and stuff hanging about, but other than that, no.
Where are
No.
you based, if I can ask you?
What?
Where are you based?
I live in Banbury, but I work in Oxford.
Okay.
So
And
I managed to move a couple of weeks before this all came down. Before that, I was, of course, living in Norway. So
okay, wow. Well done, and definitely, I'm thinking all the time. I really would love to visit more and go outside London most of I can because my brain is getting completely sucked out so many different things, and I started like 7, 8 different things during this lockdown, language courses and social media courses. I didn't finish one, so I need to concentrate. I need to focus on my things.
yeah,
And Marie, I've been in touch many times through your profile on social media. We have many people in common, like friends and everything. And everyone, told me that you were pretty prepared on the Norwegian beer culture in many different ways. And
yes,
would you say that? Would you say that you have an expertise?
yeah, yeah. I would, I would. I've been heavily involved in Norwegian beer for a long time. It's my passion, and of course also the traditional Norwegian beers uh, that my family makes, but also. Norwegian beer has so much unseen yet, and it's hard to get out there because of a lot of the rules, that we have in Norway.
I'm really curious to hear that. In the meantime, cheers. I don't know what you're drinking for today.
I don't have a proper glass for it. I am so
Fine.
sorry. I have this little pretty number from one of my favorite UK breweries.
Yep. We have a friend in common there called Moritz. Do you know the guy?
He's amazing. Moritz is amazing. Have you ever seen him dance?
Yep, I did it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, cheers.
Cheers.
And I know also today they release a Pilsner apparently, Kernel, so I'm really curious.
Yeah. So am I. I was watching that and I'm like, but I have so much beer left though. You know, so little tolerance and so much beer. There
And
is, I can't say so little time right now. That was what I used to say, but during this lockdown, yeah, you know,
I know many companies and many different, breweries started these, completely brand new, for them, for most of them, completely brand new, strategy and business plan, which was the main reason because there were some cars and vans in London. They all were delivering. So, it's very easy to just wake up, order beers, you find it on your doorstep. You don't have to do anything, just pay, which is incredible.
yeah.
And we mentioned Pilsner, and many people in mind have, for reasons, Pilsners as the first beer that they click in mind when they think about Norwegian beer. Um, is it the most popular? Probably yes, but is it the type of beer that really express what is the Norwegian classic way to understand beer and brew, or not really?
It used to be because, as me and you have touched upon in the conversations that we've had, is that it used to be the city of Trondheim used to be Dals, and the city of Bergen used to be Hansa, and then you had Ringnes, and like you had Ringnes as part of the Carlsberg group, but you had like Mac in the north. You had a lot of
Giants.
the breweries were like so. So if you, especially in the 90s, like I guess if you went into a bar in Trondheim and you got served a Hansa, you'd be like, "Fuck this! This is for the Bergen people, you know. This is not what I drink." So people used to be very conscious about that, like supporting the local workplaces and stuff. Now it's a bit, it has loosened up quite a bit. We used to have one of the, or the second most popular style would be Bayer, something we call Bayer in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's more of that is more of it Bayer is a Norwegian it is a Norwegian style, but the reason that it is a Norwegian style is because the person who first made it in Norway went to Germany and pretty much copied Munchausen Dunkel.
Wow. Okay. So
So
something dark and something with a
yeah,
big body and things like
yeah,
that.
potty, malty, yeah,
Right. So let me put it this way, and this is something that I found finding information about the Norwegian and beer scene and brewing heritage. As you said, this specific style mostly called with Norwegian names as well, and then you had big companies, big breweries, big giants like pushing their easy drinkable pilsners or light lager,
yeah,
and then something happened.
yeah.
Craft beer.
That No, that doesn't happen in craft beer. But it was like that for a long time, and it was also very tightly connected with our football culture, and
Okay,
the
all
football,
right.
like the football team culture that you have here. So you
Right.
wouldn't have one supporting the Bergen team drinking the Trondheim beer, for instance.
Okay.
That's totally unheard of. So,
Wow. Okay, okay. So
but it's evolved quite a lot since then.
yeah, well, yeah, an artist, yeah, 100%. Look, it's been great so far with Brussels Beer projects and hear about the new beers in Brussels, in a city where so many other things happened before the craft beer arrived. And yesterday I was speaking with Catraio owner about Portugal, and we were discussing about what's actually happening in Portugal, and they said no tradition, we can do wherever we can. But then you're here to tell me that actually your family is deeply attached to the culture of beer in Norway, which is, for me, is like, as for an Italian person, it's like, wow, all right, so a malt house. Tell me more about that. It's great.
So I actually saw one of my family members joining a bit ago, but I don't know if he's here anymore. So what we um, so Norway has three well-known brewing regions, and then they have sort of one cider region as well, which is very unknown. But it's getting more known, and their cider is like one of these cideries. Cider is now in like Michelin star restaurants and stuff.
Wow.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be, because it's amazing. But other than that, three brewing regions. Two of them heavily utilize quake, and then the third one that my family comes from is one that uses a lot of smoked malt.
Mm.
So we have the malteries are like smoking houses, where you have like mesh on a big surface. Underneath, you have an oven with an open where all the smoke goes through, and you rake the grains across. And you have different degrees of it. So, like my uncle, my grandma used to have these boxes with different degrees of smoked after what they wanted from their beer.
Wow.
Uh,
So you were smoking the malt because that was the main action, right? Okay.
yeah,
But then you were also using the malt that you were smoking for beer that you were making
yes,
yourself.
yes.
So were you also selling the malt, or you were just using it for personal brewing?
No, no, the malting houses are like so the one that my uncles and my cousins now belong to is one that they have with a couple of other neighbors,
Okay.
and there's like small ones. And my grandmother has, as long as I can remember, had a 400-liter capacity brewery in her basement.
Wow.
Which is quite large. I didn't understand how large it was before I started actually working in the brewing industry, and I was like, that's quite large for a pretty small family, you know? For like and the saying that like beers under beers under 9 ABV is children's beer, but then changing that name to beers under 9 ABV will be driver's beer. And I'm like, I don't know if that's better. I
Wow.
put them on big pet cans, and that is part of Christmas, especially as part of Christmas.
Wow.
And when everyone brings their own beer for Christmas, and everyone's eyes light up, and it's like, finally, time to get
But
some of this down.
and I mean, my point is that type of beer that you were making. So I'm imagining something smoky, and you also mentioned, yeah, you were adding berries on these beers, right? Tell me if I'm wrong.
I have not been adding. It's totally juniper branch.
Juniper.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the kettle that my grandmother utilized would be, you put juniper branches at the bottom. This is a big kettle in the basement. Underneath is a fire, and that regulates your temperature. Put juniper branches on top, and then you have a bunch of rocks that fit perfectly. And then you have the mash on top of that. And she would mash for like 4 hours, and then it would be a raw beer because it wouldn't be boiled. Um, Unboiled raw beer, smoky, sweet. And what has happened in the two other brewing regions where they do use a lot of quake is that the more that has been popularized in the world that we are in right now, the more interest it's also been shown for this other style that has sort of been very forgotten for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if I was a craft brewery in Norway, I would probably deep hard into all of these heritage that you have, and let me say as well, probably somehow obscure to the mainstream as well. And
Yeah.
I don't know if any craft brewery actually are producing or are interested in all of that.
Yeah, so a lot of breweries have done a bit of things with Quake, tried to experiment a bit with it, but then you have breweries in Norway, for instance, Aiken Teat in Oslo, if you've heard about them.
Yep.
They make like only Quake beer. They go all in on this project. Barrel aged Quake beer, but they are really like otherworldly. They are in like the twilight zone of what you expect of beer, really.
Wow. Wow. Okay, interesting. And what about commercially, like the beers then you can find in pubs as well? Like, is it? Do you have this pretty much the steel balance in craft beer pubs as well in these days of more traditional beers, contemporary styles, mainstream beer? How would you say like the beer culture in the bar culture in Norway? It looks like.
It depends very much on the bars because you do have a lot of like brown pubs that doesn't really have that much craft beer, but you have also a lot of bars that go in with like 20, 22, 24, 72 craft beer lines, which is just like crazy, you know. They go really that go in on this all the way.
And
Um, so and they do really well as well. There is a market for craft beer.
wow. And how the drinkers are drinking in Norway. Like if someone is deeply into traditional stuff, also have an interest in craft beer potentially, or the mainstream drinkers are also the drinkers that maybe are curious about the heritage, or do you see the three categories very separate from each other?
That's a very good question. I like to separate the craft beer drinkers and also the craft beer the brewers in three different categories because you have the ones that only make like very lagers, only make easily drinkable volume beers, and then you have the level two drinkers that will drink a lot of like the just into craft beer, just entry level craft beer, and will enjoy that a lot. You can get that at the grocery store, you know, that type. And then you have the number three that will always check into Untapped. They will rate things. They will sit there like little beer sommeliers and go like, ah, lavender. You know? So, so you have the entire range, but it's important to as a brewery to relate to the crowd enough to be at least in two categories.
Yeah.
You need to have something that is recognizable. And you also need to be innovative because Norway maybe doesn't have that many breweries outside of Norway that is very known.
Mm.
But still, they have a lot of high quality, good breweries, good beer.
I've been massively failed before mentioning a brewery that is actually not in Norway but is in Sweden because the similar name of beer then it just put me in the mistake. Apologize, but I know very well Amundsen and I know very well Lövig, and
Yeah.
and Nana from Lövig. I met her like recently. We were chatting about actually similar things that we do now, but she was more like on the technical side of the packaging, creating sustainability into beer and the use of water. So that was really interesting. And then I had the chance to ask you many things to you now. Then is great because we have to learn many things. So my earliest memory for beer was a pilsner in a restaurant, in a pizza restaurant. I was probably 12 or something like that. Your earliest memory is such a cooler compared to my one. It's such a
Yeah.
cooler.
I'm going to help Aura Brewing here first and say
You do
that the
it.
pronunciation of Lervig is Lervik. So
Levig.
it almost sounds like a K in the end. And Amundsen would be Amundsen.
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 I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. No, so some of my earliest memory of beer, I think, was one of these Christmas dinners where every single Christmas, someone had me try the different beers. Didn't really like them, were very smoky. Of course, not serving pints and stuff, but yeah. And as a kid, I would probably like four or something. You get a little shot glass of it, the children's beer version, and like, what do you feel? Do you like it? Do you like it better than you like Uncle's beer? Who who wins this competition, little 4-year-old? You
Wow.
So, but then it's like, but then it just gets in your blood after a while, you know? It just suddenly that's who you are, I guess.
And when did you click with the craft beer? When did you actually click? When you realize, okay, I now understand what my family makes. I know what is mainstream beer, but hey, there is so much going on in here. Do you remember that beer, that moment?
I didn't really have that moment because I didn't. I tried when I was a teenager. I tried some of the beers that I got in the store, and I was like, "Ah, this is for sure not good. This doesn't like because it's very different from what we have at home. What we have as well is very little carbonation to it.
Okay.
So I was like, no, like this beer I don't like. But then I started getting into the buyers and stuff, and that's probably, I guess, like 13 years ago. I started liking other stuff, and now I can appreciate like a Pabst Blue Ribbon or something as well. That's like that's it. It all has its purpose. I'm just saying.
You're right.
Yeah.
And what do you
So
like to drink in these days? Sour the most, or IPAs, or whatever?
um, I would say that lately I've been, and this doesn't match the time of year at all, but I've been very much, and I like my favorite style is probably Baltic Porter, like a proper like lagered Baltic Porter, amazing for me. But other than that, I think like a very well, like I really like beers that aren't that in your face sort of thing.
Okay.
Like I can recognize and appreciate good beers any style and no matter how crazy and out there they are. But I'm more into the more um, like extremely balanced brown ale, for instance. That is something that I really love. Moritz and me, we bonded over that. You know, he likes his perfectly 5.5 ABV brown ale.
We met in the Colonel taproom a day. Then I did a shift, and he was very happy to let me try the brown ale that he brewed, and he was so happy about it. And it was decent. It was really good. But
Yeah.
like, the beer sommelier perceived in Norway? Is it like the UK? Is it a job that many people does, or is it perceived differently right now?
It's not. It's a job that most people that have it will work in restaurants.
Okay.
You don't have that many, and you have a couple of bar managers, but it's not like something that everyone rushes to know. I took mine in Oslo with Beverage Academy, which was the first one available in Norway,
Yeah.
and it's quite hard and quite intense. It goes a lot. It goes really deep. That one. I also. I also had a really big night out before my finals, so that was like don't go out with Mario from Lervig before your finals. That was the lesson learned from that.
Well, you see, you made it, so you had to be just happy. So I'm trying to make a summary of all of your relations roles into beer. Coming from a family of malters,
Yeah,
beer sommelier, brewer. because let's see what we're going to talk now. And you also work behind the bar for a while. And
Yeah.
shall we talk a bit about the brewing side of your experience?
Yeah, so I did the beer sommelier thing because I wanted more knowledge. I'm very much a hyper-focused person, so I will go hardcore into anything that I set my mind to. Um, but uh, it was here we touch on something that I didn't want to like make this about, but it was hard to get acceptance as a female in the industry, and also be like, I have some homebrewing experience, and stuff like that. I went to a couple of like I got told for a long time that I couldn't tell people anything, sort of. So then I decided that after doing like a lot of research and hanging out with a lot of breweries and stuff, I decided that um, I would do the General Certificate in Brewing at the Institute of London, the Institute of Brewing and Distilling in London. Um, I was at a brewer's dinner like many years ago, like 6 years ago maybe. I was invited to a brewer's dinner, and I got told by someone that I don't know you, and I don't think you belong here. You don't look like you belong here. So I decided. So I told him where I was from, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know your name, and I told him that by the end of this, he would know my name, and I'm pretty sure he does today. He works for a very small brewery.
So your experience yourself
Yeah.
in the UK you are talking about right now, that bad experience, right?
No, that's back in Norway.
That
That's
was back in Norway.
back in
Perfect.
Norway. That's many years ago. I just moved to the UK in February.
Right. Right. Okay. And so this is just to remark the fact that the uh, Norwegian like brewing community suffer a bit, and not everyone, but someone could suffer of similar issues that you see around other communities, maybe the US or the UK, possibly,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
of course we do. Like and I was running a bar in Norway with 24 craft taps, and they were constantly rotating. Only did one keg of any single beer once. I rotated them constantly, and I still had people that came in and didn't want to talk to me about beer because what could I possibly know, you know? And but that's like an issue for another time. It's not only females; it's diversity in beer,
I
and
know.
we need more diversity in beer.
100%
We
yes,
are
because
missing out on such a big audience if we don't reach out to every audience.
I agree. I agree. There are still, much to do in many places. Trust me, Italy right now is. I don't really think. I try to look for someone that was happy to talk as we're doing right now in Italian about the brewing scene over there, and I receive comments like, "If I'm doing it, I will never find a job anymore in that scene." So there is a lot, and
Yeah.
and 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 so knowing how to brew, knowing how to run a bar, being a beer sommelier, and having as well, experience in deeply into your blood, into your skin, into your heritage. Then you also wanted to join a project, and I don't know if you want to talk about, because I know you're not actually working right now for it.
Yeah.
But shall we
No, but
mention it?
I can easily talk about it. It's of course I moved to the UK to specifically work for Tap Social Movement because of what they do. Um, so what we try and do at Tap Social Movement is giving people coming out of the criminal justice system a second chance,
Yeah,
you know. And that is not saying that we're not saving people. People are saving themselves, and that's what's so rewarding as well. People are giving the opportunity, and they will grasp that opportunity. And so people working in the brewery, if they want to do that, or working in the bar if they want to do that, and some of them, like, I don't even know, and because I don't ask who is from where, and I don't ask what people have done because it's, quite frankly, none of my business. It doesn't matter. And that's something that I wanted to be a part of, that resonates with me, you know.
Do you see
Then
this project? Go ahead,
what?
please. Please go ahead, please.
No, and then you can give people opportunities. You can, it's all about creating opportunities for people and hoping that people will grasp them and utilize what they've been given. Yeah.
Do you think this project is exportable, like potentially in every other brewing
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
everywhere?
I think it is. I think it is. I think it's something that everyone should look into and give a chance at. It's like 50% less chance of being employed by an or getting accepted into being employed if you're coming out of prison. It's, if you come out of prison, you get, I don't really remember exactly what it was, but I think it's like £46 a week. And you know, it's a vicious cycle, because if you
Early
come
so
out
little.
and you can't make a living, and you can't get hired by anyone, and you don't have any friends, and no one believes in you, what chances do you have as a human, you know?
I also think that big breweries should do that much more, because they are the ones that have the facilities and the spaces and the possibility to really, give people to do much. And
Yeah.
but let's start with the small breweries, and then we go up. Okay.
Yeah.
And good for you. You are a very, diverse figure into this industry, which is really, really rare and precious. So well done to that. What else would you like to do? I mean, like an ambassador for Norwegian beer culture, or what would you like?
No, I'm being the best ambassador that I can right now, or like at my capacity, because I think people need to see it. There is a lot to see. And it is very interesting what is happening to Norway. Unfortunately, because of the rules we have, it doesn't really get out, as I said. Very strict rules. It is very hard. I was talking to Jorg at Monkey Brew,
Mm-hmm.
who was the brewery that I used to work for in Norway. They are making extremely good beer, insanely good beer. And they are not outside of Norway yet. They don't have the capacity for it right now, but building a brand in Norway has been so hard because of all the rules in place by the government. You can't market the beers you're selling. You can't say anything about the beers you're selling. You can't really say that you have anything with alcohol. You can't have your logo out anywhere. You can't sell Vinmonopolet, which is a state monopoly, can't sell beers that are more than 4. No, Vinmonopolet is the only one who can sell beers that are over 4.7 ABV. So
Not even on the social. You can't even mention stuff on social media.
no, and we got last year. They decided to hit down really hard on us. And they sent us like the stack of papers of things we were not allowed to do. And that is, amongst others, taking a picture of a glass that there could be beer in, and especially taking pictures of things that had like droplets outside of them, because we didn't want it to look cold. And it was like, why? How do they expect these breweries to be able to grow? It's breweries from outside of Norway have a lot bigger chance of building a brand for themselves in Norway than
In
the
Norway, wow.
local breweries have. Lervik, for instance, they post stuff all the time, but they can because they have turned off their social media to all Norwegian IP addresses. So if I search Lervik's Instagram or Facebook on when I'm back in Norway with my Norwegian IP or my Norwegian phone, I won't find anything.
All right, okay. So we are now almost saying that beer in Norway right now, and probably from a long time, it sounds in, I don't know, like it's almost like a Chinese freedom type of situation. Social media blocked. That's insane, man. Like, whoa. All right, okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand why importation of foreign beer in Norway is such a good business for many brands.
And also for many brands like the ones you see outside, like Amundsen, like Lervig. I know Cerisium has had a lot of luck as well, exporting to like Sweden. They do a lot in the Netherlands, I believe, some in Denmark. Cerisium is like a Norwegian, like Omnipollo kind of brewery. Um, and Lervig does a lot of export to, especially to the UK, and you understand why, because and Lervig comes from Lervig is an oxymoron in this situation because they come from where the rules are at their strictest. The rules are the same across Norway, but especially in that region that we call the Norwegian Bible Belt,
Right.
they will be there knocking at your door if you take a picture of a beer.
Right. So probably that means then beer drinkers in Norway aren't such a big number. Not really. There is a consummation.
They are in big numbers, but it's hard for them to get the news that they want to get. Hard for the breweries to communicate with their customers as well.
Interesting. Very interesting. This is a word that I couldn't even believe it was existing, and I see the comments below, which makes really sense. Ah, man. Right. So how breweries survive, bars survive, and the culture survive. That's really hard.
I think this is very interesting because I saw a post on the UK Craft Beer Forum the other day where they were talking about people being a bit afraid of the homebrewing culture and what the homebrewing culture will do to the culture of selling beer. And what I find a bit interesting there is that Norway has one of the biggest amount of homebrewers per capita in the world.
Wow.
And what that results in for us is that a lot of people that are brewing their own beer are very interested in what the big breweries are doing, or the big craft beer breweries, and how they can mimic this and how they can get better. And it's a very competitive scene in homebrewing as well. And we have homebrewing championships. We have all of this. It's I think that this is a good for Norwegian craft beer culture. It is a good thing. It has been a good thing there, and also a lot of the breweries make kits and sell them in their home brewing shops.
Which are, you can find homebrew shops then around in Norway, like easy.
You can find, like, Trondheim alone has like 120,000 people living there, and it has probably between 4 and 6 homebrewing shops.
Not even in London, probably.
No, but homebrewing is a big thing in Norway.
Wow. And I mean, like, let me ask you. You see, you catch my attention right now, right? So, what about ciders? What about like hard seltzer? Are these beverages still regulated in such a strict way as beer, or they are going in a different road?
All alcohol is regulated in the same strict way as beers. Like cigarette packs, they get sold in these like one colored things.
Yep.
There was a suggestion made by like support group for or against alcohol in Norway, saying that every beer and every wine and whatever at Vinmonopolet should have, like, all the bottles should be the same, and all of the so you'd have everything looking like this. This is basically what they wanted for everything, because they were like, oh, Amundsen, their cans, they're so colorful, it's like marketing to children. And I'm like, I don't think a 12-year-old is going to go for a desert in a can at 12 ABV, but you know,
I know that. Trust me, I do. And in terms of regulation, because I heard, but I couldn't believe they were going that high and that deep. Whoa. All
yeah.
right. Okay.
But
So
you asked about cider, and I talked to in my in before this, I went and gave a call to one of the ladies who runs one of the best cideries I have ever had cider from, and it's in Hardanger in Norway. It's called Edel cider, and she makes like ice ciders, dessert ciders. She sells them to Michelin stars. They've been in the US now, and I think like, and they have a cider tradition there.
okay.
So it also has one region with like proper cider tradition. And I think that is interesting as well. The cider tradition here in the UK is pretty good, but in Norway it's more like everyone thinks that a cider is just apple, and the apple that you get is Somersby.
I got that. Okay. And like alcohol-free beers must be, growing quite fast over there. I'm sure sodas or things like that.
No, not as much. We have a bit of a problem with, because of the legislations that we are under, and that beer, as soon as it's over 2.5 ABV over there, then the alcohol tax kicks in quite hard.
Okay. Bam. All right.
Yeah. So the problem that I see a lot since I've been running bars and stuff, is that it tends to be when people actually go out, they go out to get shit-faced. Instead of here, where you have quite a balanced culture where you don't necessarily need to get shit-faced. You go, like, I have a bar up the street here in Banbury, and I will go from the train station, I will stop by, I will have one beer, and then I will go home and go to bed, because it doesn't break my bank. But it's like in Norway, it's so expensive that if you're going out, you need to properly make it worth it.
Wow. Well, I now want to go there, and I now want to see Norway. I want to see the culture. I want to see bars. I want to speak with people, understand. I want to complain, even if I'm not a drinker there, for the rights of drinkers and breweries, and especially because, we're not talking about a place, perhaps Thailand, they really have stricter rules. But
Yeah,
before a couple of years ago, they were just making, pilsners that you normally drink in Thai restaurants. So compare the country you're coming from, have such a massive, great, prestigious beer culture, which is a shame. It had so much, uh, problems and legislations and limits is insane.
yeah.
It really
No,
is.
we suffer from that, and as I said, brand building in Norway as a brewery is super hard. And like, how do you start out, like, if you don't have the network, and you don't, like, how do you get into this market? It's
And sorry, but how do you think they managed to survive during the lockdown? If the lockdown was as strict as the UK, I don't know.
it was not as strict as it was in Norway, as it was in the UK, back in Norway, but we do have, like, at least the breweries that I know have been pretty lucky and been doing pretty decently. Not making the money that they usually do, but still getting by. And the lockdown there now is easing. It's a bit harder for the bars because you have to have you can only have like 2/3 of the capacity,
Yeah.
and you have to have table service, so you need to have more staff on, but you can have less customers in the bars, and doing table service for a bar that can usually fit like 270 people and have 6 people behind the bar is a
Wow.
hard turn.
Yeah, well, I think even when I don't want to order more beer, my Instagram, my Facebook, my entire setup in internet is showing me pictures of new beers, new breweries, and new products. I'm thinking like, to be a drinker there, you almost feel guilty. Like the drinking culture in a place that's such strict, it should almost like drive you in the fact that I'm not gonna drink the first thing that I get. It's dystopic.
Yeah, so also one of the problems that you keep getting, as like I worked as a bar manager for quite a long time, and one of my main problems is basically you have people that want a night out, but do like heavy drinking at home, and then they go out at 11, and then they show up at the bar, and they're totally shit-faced. And yeah, it's and then you can't serve them because in Norway, also in bars, the legislation is that you are not allowed to have anyone in your bar that is visibly intoxicated.
Fair. So on you one more time.
Yeah. So so but we have a culture for it, and people are willing to pay the price for good craft right now. It has a very progressive craft scene, and it's not only Lerwick that's a big craft brewer anymore. Even though Lerwick is amazing, they're really good. I know Mike pretty well. But now we have the smaller ones coming up. Monkey Brew has been coming up for a long time, and they make amazing beers. So I would recommend you try them out if you ever get the chance to. Aiken Teed, as I said, very special, makes only like mixed firm Craig stuff. Solicott is doing extremely well from the same city as Lerwick. They've been he's been smashing it out the ballpark as well. Cerisium is for the especially interested, but if you're interested in the stuff of Omnipolo, then you're probably interested in Cerisium as well.
I'm not just curious now. I want to give a help. I want to try to help. There is an entire world of drinkers, and just wait to see all of this stuff bumping into their social media, worlds and stuff. So definitely, yes, we will be in touch for that as well.
Yeah.
And like, what is the future then for Norwegian beer? What is the next, the short-term future, and what is the dream for the long-term future for you?
For Norwegian beer, I feel like we have made some progress. We just got raw beer certification by UNESCO World Heritage, meaning that there is special rules that protect the Norwegian beer styles, but also I hope that the world now that they're out there, that the world remembers them and keeps them, because that was something that was important to me. You had a lot of people that were very annoyed that this suddenly every other brewery is going to make fake beer. But isn't it, for me, it's more important that it's kept alive. That's important for me. It is important for me that the world gets to see these amazing Norwegian breweries and cideries. As I said, I mentioned some of the breweries, and I would also like to mention, for instance, Groff, that's from far up north, and the cidery, Edel cider and Balholm cider. Amazing, all of it. all around amazing. People should get their hands on some.
Definitely, yes, 100%. And are you gonna be there fighting for make sure that the future of Norwegian beer will be even brighter and beautiful? Is it something that you're planning to do as well?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if I will stay in the UK, and UK is my focus now being here. But
Yeah,
I will always I always love to talk about Norwegian beer. I always love to talk about beer. It's my main interest and hobby. So it's exciting life.
I have something in mind, and maybe you're gonna be interested to hear. But I'm trying to to see all of these digital beer streams where they're going, how many people are going to be interested with that, and what's happening around that. When that it's going in the right way, then we can start to see almost like a collaboration platform for making sure then stories like the one that you said to me today are well known everywhere, because this is not acceptable in a modern world where you're doing words recognize heritage products, which is absolutely insane. They have to jump into so many issues, like no, 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 we had to do something here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'm trying in my own little way. I'm trying, at least. So I'm like I want to in multiple ways. I want to leave when the day I leave the brewing industry, and how I end up leaving it, I don't know. But the day I leave, I want to make it better for the people that come up under me. You know.
Nice. I want to let everyone knows and just connect to the one that connect, not too far ago. Then we really made some incredible comments, and Marie has been very fantastic. I must say, right, your name,
Marie,
Marie. She
Marie.
been she been super to tell me all what's going on in the Norwegian craft beer market, beer culture, beer heritage, whatever you want to call it, Norwegian and beer. And please watch it again, because it's insane. It's super good and it's very informative, and most of the sides of this culture are obscure to many people still. So I really want to go there now.
Yeah, you should. And you, like, as I said, th- like Oslo, it has so many craft beer bars. Trondheim as well, where I'm from, it has the most insane amount of craft beer bars, and the level is just so high. Unfortunately, it's so hard to brand build in Norway when you have all these rules and regulations that it's hard to grow yourself to the level that you can actually start exporting. And it's hard for people to know about you if you don't have a following on social media, if you don't have a social media page. How are you then going to get these beers to the UK?
No idea.
How is then a UK importer or an importer in Spain or an importer in the US going to like discover these beers? Because they
Well,
won't. They
and compared to many other places in the world, you all speak English like you were born in here. So it's like, it's fantastic. British can find themselves pretty at home in Norway, and it's another good point for expand collaborations. And Marie, I see 1 minute and less than 1 minute left to the stream.
yeah.
It has been my great honor, and I'm very happy you wanted to jump on a stream with me, and you're great.
Thank you for having me.
I
Thank
hope
you.
I hope I can see you very soon.
I hope I can see you. I hope I can see anyone soon. That's what I'm feeling right now. I hope I can see, I hope I can see humans soon. Hope I can see a brewery soon. That would be nice.
I know. Well, maybe London, maybe Oxford, maybe somewhere else. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I hope you have a nice evening. I don't know how to disconnect, so you have to do that for me. I'll finish my beer.
I'm gonna try to go to run now. Let's see, but the weather is pretty miserable, so maybe I will just read some books and do something like that. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Ciao, ciao.
I don't know how to turn it off.